ITV, as most would call it in the old days, independent television. This is a company that has basically introduced the whole idea of commercial television into the UK. Obviously, commercial television had already been big in other countries, but the UK never had such thing until 1955. Independent television would finally introduce that concept into this country, where we would see adverts for many different brands, and it was because of those adverts that you would end up wanting to go to the supermarket to buy those brands. And in return, some ITV some revenue for advertising those products, which I think was a very important business for them. In this video, we are going to talk about some of my childhood memories of growing up watching ITV programs. Now, of course, ITV had their own children's stuff, which is CITV. You can see that in the link in the description if you want to see memories of CITV. But in this one, we're going to focus on the ITV section of ITV, which is essentially the more outside of CITV bounds programs, and quite a few that I watched. There's ITV have been known for game shows, comedies, drama, entertainment, all sorts of different things that they've been known for, and we're gonna take a look at some of the shows that I have seen in those genres that certainly me excited and got me like, yeah, let's watch this. Let's check this out. So without further ado, let's do this. So without further ado, let's get a chance to look back at some memories of ITV. Let's do this. So, ITV, what programs do I remember watching growing up on ITV? Well, I think the first program we need to put in that list, considering the fact, I'm going to be doing a separate episode about SMTV Live very soon, so we're going to save that for that episode specifically. We're going to obviously talk about another show that also aired on Saturday mornings following SMTV Live, and we are talking about the music show known as CD UK. Now, if you don't remember this show, this is essentially was a Saturday morning music show that the presenters of SMTV Live would essentially basically they would become presenters of the music series where they would music celebrities in during SMTV Live so that they could perform on CD UK their latest songs. Essentially, CD UK was essentially ITV's sort of top of the pops in a way, if that makes sense. Essentially, they bring acts in to sing, they would have interviews with, and they had all sorts of music stars. They had S Club 7, 5, they had Will Young at one point. They had all sorts of music stars who would come up on Saturday morning to perform, and some of them even appeared on SMTV Live, like Westlife, who would also perform on CD UK and have the opportunity to hang out with Ant and Dec during the CD UK portion of Saturday mornings. And the fact that you got to see them perform their favorite, their latest hits, get to see Robbie Williams, you would get to see all sorts of music stars come into those studios for the young teenagers who are there to listen to their favorite songs being performed or see new songs being performed that they would love and dance to. Really fun. It was a really fun series, and a series that they did, and it's a shame it never came back because I personally believe it deserves to come back. I think it would be really to have SMTV Live return to see CD UK as well as SMTV Live return to Saturday mornings. I think CD UK specifically benefit from returning on Saturday mornings, in my opinion, because honestly, I would love to see this return. I think it deserves more episodes. So now's the time to do it. Now's the time to bring this stuff back, and I hope it does. I mean, CD UK, so much fun. Really enjoyed the atmosphere, being able to see like our favorite music stars performing on the stage. Really, it's a shame it didn't last as long as it did, and I think it deserves to. So CD UK, that was the first program that I remember watching on Saturday mornings aside of SMTV Live, which I'll do in a separate video soon. Another program we need to acknowledge, considering the fact that the TV series is current second series recently on its BBC version, Gladiators. Yes, the ITV was the original place where you could watch Gladiators on the telly. If it wasn't for ITV, Gladiators wouldn't have been a thing in this day and age. And I have to applaud ITV for giving us Gladiators. I mean, of course, back then they had different characters. They had different people representing the gladiators. Wolf is one of the names. It tends to get recognized under that umbrella. Honestly, though, gladiators was a lot of fun for me growing up. I mean, obviously, I probably won't remember like a lot of the characters back then, but obviously, Wolf is the only one pretty much remember from the early days of Gladiators, because I forgot most of the other names now because I haven't haven't like rewatched it since I was little, really. Because obviously, and even though I'm hooked with the new series, I mean, it's just so much fun watching Gladiators. I'm pretty sure it was on Saturday nights. If I recall, I'm pretty sure it was on Saturday nights in the early days as well. So yeah, it was always known as a Saturday night series. Really, it was known as one of those programs that you would see on a Saturday night. It was really fun. It was really fun. They did a lot of obstacle races, lots of those old challenges that have come in the BBC series. They did really fun to see people battle the gladiators, their own game, and they even did a series where they would have gladiators from around the world compete with each other to see who's the ultimate gladiator. I loved that they did. It was really fun. So yeah, gladiators, lots of fun, lots of great fun with ITV. ITV did a really good job, and obviously they had a lot of commercials with gladiators, but obviously now we don't have to worry about that because it's on the BBC. But nevertheless, I just so pleased to have got into Gladiators at the time. It was so very happy, and yeah, I'm glad Gladiators is still ongoing to this very day, and it's still going on the BBC, and I'm loving it. Hopefully, more series to come. That's what I'm saying. I think Gladiators needs to remain as long as possible, in my opinion, because without Gladiators, it just wouldn't be the same, would it? So yeah, and hopefully, who knows? Maybe we'll see these old episodes of Gladiators get seen on ITV's 70th birthday. Maybe. Find out. Maybe they'll come to ITVX. Who knows? All right. So that is sort of my fond memories of Gladiators, watching that on ITV. Another program some other stuff I remember watching growing up. I watched a bit of Coronation Street growing up. Yeah, I watched probably bits and bobs of it when I was having my dinner at the time. Don't really remember most of the characters on Coronation Street. I just watched it because it was on, really. I know soaps wasn't really my thing growing up, but I mean, I just watched it because it was on, really, and I was waiting for the next program. Nevertheless, I did watch a bit of Coronation Street time to time, and didn't really pay too much attention of the characters of the storylines. I guess I paid attention to whatever was going on around them. I wasn't like heavily invested in Coronation Street, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll move on to our next one, considering I didn't really invest in Coronation Street as people would think. So we're going to move on to talk about another comedy that I enjoy watching, Harry Hill's TV Birth. Of course it has to be Harry Hill's TV Birth, because funny enough, I know my friends remember Harry Hill's TV Birth, but my gosh, Harry Hill's TV nearly wet myself on Saturday morning. I'm sorry I had to say that, but it was so funny, literally. Like, the amount of stuff Harry Hill captured from the telly during the week on a Saturday night and make fun out of is hilarious. Honestly, it was just that the amount of funniness that came out of that show, from like, well, for instance, you would have that whole Coronation Street scene where he would time it to the countdown theme, and then you have the character say "boo" at the end. I was cracking laughing at that. That was genius of Harry Hill to do that. That was so funny. And then also another sketch in the show was the whole, well, I like this better, but I like this, but which is better? There's only one way to find out. Fight! I had to do this. Yeah, I had to say it. But yeah, it was so funny to do that whole fight scene and the before the ad break. It was so funny. Yeah, it was so fun. I just love Harry Hill. He was such a funny guy, isn't he? He just knows how to make you laugh. He really does. And, oh man, TV Burp was so. And then he has these sections called TV Highlight of the Week, and it could be something really random where someone's farting or somebody just makes a weird sound, and then it just cuts TV Highlight of the Week, and you're like, what? What is that? It just you have these random moments at times, and you're like, it's so funny. It was so hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Oh my word. But yeah, Harry Hill, TV Burp, what a What a show. What a show, man. It makes me feel gutted that the show got cancelled in the end because I wish they would do more. I really do. It was so funny. I hope they do re-show Teeny Burp on its 70th birthday on ITV. Hopefully they do because it deserves to be re-shown. It was so funny. And luckily I should have some Teeny Burp DVDs somewhere. I think they probably locked away somewhere, but I definitely do have some Teeny Burp Gold DVDs that they brought out for Harry Hill Teeny Burp, and they were so funny to watch. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stop laughing. So yeah, so that was Harry Hill Teeny Burp, so much, so funny. Really enjoyed that. And then, of course, another Saturday night show that I used to watch on ITV has to be Stars in Your Eyes with Matthew Kelly. Great show with Matthew Kelly. Also, Kat Deely did it as well at one time. For me, Matthew Kelly was probably the favourite presenter of Stars in Your Eyes, in my opinion. He just knew how things go, really. He essentially invites a member. Basically, you would have, essentially, to sort of explain what Stars in Your Eyes is, essentially, you would have a member of the public come to the studio and he would say, okay, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be this singer. And then of course, he let them go through the curtain and they would end up dressing up as that person performing the song that they're going to perform. And it was such a breakthrough moment for any music fan who wants to perform in front of people as their favorite music legend. This was essentially the place you would want to be. You would want to be on Stars in Your Eyes. You want to be performing in front of people and saying, you know, I can sing pretty much. I don't really sing that well, but just imagine someone saying I can sing and they want to show their talent. They would essentially go to Stars in Your Eyes and sing as their favorite star. That's exactly how that goes. And the concept of that, Stars in Your Eyes, in my opinion, was really, really fun. Really, really fun indeed. So so that is Stars in Your Eyes, another Saturday night show that was very, very popular. And then another show I also watched a bit of was Blind Date. Cilla Black was the presenter of Blind Date, as well as Kat Deely also did Blind Date for a couple of years. But yeah, Blind Date was to be fair, we all know what Blind Date is. It's essentially a game show where you would have a single girl or a single woman essentially trying to seek a relationship, and you would have these men hide behind these sort of three different columns, and then essentially they basically ask questions to them, and then if she likes and then she would basically pick which one she wants to get rid of, and then she would understand and then sometimes she would feel gutted if she got rid of somebody she really likes. End of the day, she would end up matching with the person that she picks, essentially, and that's how Blind Date works, essentially. And I watched a bit of episodes. I mean, I'm kind of just on the. I mean, sure, back in the day, I may have thought back in the day that okay, I might have a chance of being in a relationship. These days, I feel like days are sort of declining bit by bit because I just feel like it's never going to happen at this point. I don't know, just maybe back then I kind of had been hopeful, but now I'm just not as hopeful as I used to. So really, I guess Blind Date was just one of those shows that brought me hope at some point, but then now there isn't any. But yeah, either way, Blind Date was a show that I watched a bit of from time to time on ITV. All right, another Saturday show that I watched on ITV, I would have to obviously refer to as You've Been Framed. You've Been Framed, of course, we all know the show. It's a show where you would see people's home videos, funny moments captured on the screen on the telly. And also, you were able to send your videos to You've Been Framed, and you would get £250 for any time they show that clip. And that was a very sweet deal to have £250 just for them to show on You've Been Framed. It was certainly a sweet deal for anybody who sent their clips in. Definitely would have felt very proud to have featured their funny moments on telly, and it was really, really, really well. But honestly, I really enjoyed You've Been Framed. There was a lot of funniness to it. I mean, I've seen the Christmas specials, I've seen all the regular episodes. Lots of funny moments that happened in You've Been Framed. It just shows you how funny people can be. That's what the show did. It just shows some of the funny side, and that's why You've Been Framed will always be known. The funny side of people's lives. So that is You've Been Framed. Obviously, will be missed, and at least you can still watch You've Been Framed on ITVX. Luckily, you can, so that's a good thing. And they've also got some episodes on YouTube as well. All right, so that is another Saturday night show that I watched growing up. And then, of course, we come other Saturday shows that also aired on Saturdays, and that is, well, we have to acknowledge it, considering the fact we're going to eventually come to this subject eventually, and that is the whole talent show saga, which, of course, started with Pop Idol. Yes, I did watch Pop Idol in the early days, and obviously the days when Will Young became the winner. Gareth Gates was a runner-up. I watched it around that time. Not even kidding. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't, because I mean, sure. I mean, back then, I thought it was cool. The fact that you got to see people being hopeful to want to get themselves into the music scene. Yeah, Will Young obviously achieved that dream. Closed after 2 series. I don't know. Maybe Pop Idol just wasn't meant to be, even though they were thinking about bringing it back for its anniversary, but they chose to cancel it in the end. So I guess Pop Idol will never come. But of course, Pop Idol would then evolve into the not so friendly X Factor. Yeah, the X Factor has had a lot of stories in its lifetime where, well, there's been a lot of stories about X Factor, about how disrespectful it can be to be on X Factor. Those stories have come out over recent times, and I'm not gonna lie, I mean, sure, I have quite a few years of X Factor, but eventually it's so frustrating when X Factor kept stealing the Christmas #1 from songs that I believe deserve to be Christmas #1s, like the Christmas songs, for instance. The fact that X Factor kept winning them really me for a long time, and I just resented it over time, because it really bugged me that X Factor kept getting the #1, and I just didn't like the fact that they kept dominating that spot for a few years, and it just didn't seem fair for any other song to get a chance. It just felt like it doesn't matter, no matter how hard you try, X Factor was going to dominate, and it just seemed unfair to me, would steal that spotlight, and it really did. And I'm kind of glad that it closed the way it did, because yeah, they had too much controversy. They really did. And they caused a lot of controversy to the point that the show had to get axed. I'm glad it did, because it doesn't deserve to come back. It really doesn't. And yeah, it just it brings a lot of act to a lot of people. And I don't blame anyone for having not so pleasant memories of the X Factor. And I don't blame anyone for not liking the X Factor for what it was.